right, and here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on Cloud Kingdom, and down at the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have our blue Protoss player from the team Incredible Miracle. It is Seed, and his opponent in the upper right-hand corner from Evil Geniuses, their red Terran player, DeMuslim.
TVP, this we've talked, I mean, you hear so much about this map. It's really, really tough for either player to be grabbing a fourth in this matchup. The base towards the front is just so terribly exposed. So a lot of times we actually see players grab the fourths in the corners. It tends to work really well because, especially the Terran players, because of the lack of Protoss mobility, if they decide to send down any large sort of strike force in order to deal with that, you'll often find that their armies will often ends up being out of position. You can really capitalize on that by getting some serious damage in. So we'll have to wait and see what does develop. It could, of course, be a quick game here, but wow, I just love late game PvT on Cloud Kingdom. It's really, really exciting, especially with all the chokes available. Oh, yeah. And especially with the ability to just drop everywhere. I mean, this map is so conducive to play through the air, and you'll often see Terran players that'll take advantage engagements in the middle of the map. Well, I'm just going to drop around this cliff line here and get in behind your natural. There's all this cliff line here to play around with, get into your main. So a lot of opportunities for late game or even mid-game aggression here on this map. DeMuslim already looking like he wants to play with peak efficiency. Notice building the supply depot right next to the mineral line, building the barracks right in front of the mineral line next to this command center. He seems to not be caring about what his opponent scouts. He just wants to be very, very efficient right now. So definitely expecting heavy macro play out of him. Of course, it's going to be a one-rax expand at this point. But yeah. Not going to be surprised if we see something like a fast third even, or double engineering bay. Just really, really greedy play. Seems to be the name of the game so far for DeMuslim.
Now, Seed knows that this is probably going to happen. He hasn't picked up on it yet. That's why he's not stop mining gas or anything along those lines. A lot of Protoss players will, of course, maybe not just pull off of gas right away, but they'll give themselves exactly 50 so they can start Warp Gate, or 100 so they can get Warp Gate and a Stalker, if they know that an opponent is going for a gasless fast expand. So we'll see if Seed, and indeed, look, he's already pulled workers off of gas, so he makes sure he gets that Nexus up a little bit more efficiently. Yeah, not uncommon to see the 2 on gas, the 100, and you get yourself the Stalker and the Warp Prism while you, the Warp Gate, right as you go for your expansion. So there they are. In fact, no, he's still making the Zealot. Now, of course, the Zealot can be canceled, something that Alicia's a big fan of, and there it is. Does cancel the Zealot, drops down the Nexus, and should be able to follow this up with a Stalker any second. Yeah, so he cancels that, though, as soon as our Terran player DeMuslim has finished scouting. So DeMuslim doesn't know what's actually going to come at him here in a second. So, of course, putting up that bunker at the front, but you've got to stay safe as a Terran player. And DeMuslim immediately going into 2 more barracks afterwards. Probably see that double gas follow this up soon. I'm a little bit surprised that DeMuslim went home there. You know, a lot of Protoss players do cancel the Zealot. It would have been very safe for him to go back in, take a second peek. Take a look and be like, oh, my opponent still actually hasn't taken a second gas, which was just taken right now. By Seed. So, either way, DeMuslim taking his first and second refineries. He's got a couple of barracks going down as well. No factory as of quite yet, but his expansion's finally getting rolling here. That's right. So, Orbital Command is on the way. Back now for Seed. Interesting on his part already. He decides to put down a second gate. He puts that down at about 28 supply. Usually you see gateways number 2 and 3 at 27, 28 supply if you're feeling a little bit worried about your opponent, if you think that they're going to put on some pressure. You put them on 31 if you're feeling confident. And you put up a robotics facility first if you just have no clue what they're doing at all and you need to get in there and scout. But this is kind of a hybrid between those, and we'll see what Seed plans to do with this, putting down his second gateway at 28 so he can get out a couple more units to defend against an attack, but going into that robotics facility earlier than normal. So 3-gate robo is going to be the opening build here from Seed. DeMuslim, I'm anxious to see if he does opt to throw down that quick third that we were discussing earlier. We do see he's going to be putting down a bunker, so maybe a little bit nervous about the possibility of an attack out of Seed, who, you know, did make 3 gateways and a robotics. Likely going to be an Observer Chrono boosted out here as the robo does now finish. It looks like he's warping in a couple of sentries as well. So as that sentry count grows, so too does the likelihood that Seed's going to be making a serious push here. And Seed will have the flexibility to move into it. The real indicators, of course, are going to be, does he go for Robotics Bay? Does he put up a Forge before that happens? Are we just going to see straight up Twilight Council and then into upgrades and a few more gateways? He's still not decided to put down gas 3 and 4. There we go. As soon as I start talking about it, they pop up.
Yeah. Well, we were definitely waiting for those. It's a big indicator. Now we can expect that Seed's likely going to tech behind this. He, hasn't been using too much of his Chrono Boost on probes. We've seen a lot as he's gone for this double observer play. Now the Forge is going down. So Seed gearing up for a longer game. Muslim, not only now is he really getting started on his tech. We see a factory on the way, as well as an engineering bay, and Stim is about a third of the way done.
So the Muslim's plenty safe. The question is, will he be able to put on any pressure? Obviously, all of his money is going to upgrades, infrastructure, buildings. He's going to need that starport here in just a second. There's +1. But as we can see now out of Seed side, the Robotics Bay is on the way, and he's only got the 1 Forge for maybe any upgrades here in just a second. So he still has a possibility to drop down 3 more gateways right now and try and do some sort of just an enormously powerful 6-gate push.
Well, I really like the positioning here of Seed's buildings down in the bottom left, because it looks like the Muslim is going to be going for some drop play. We see lots of Marines, lots of Marauders, a later starport, but it's almost complete now, and he's going to be able to be moving out with a large army and drop play simultaneously. There's going to be a pretty scary timing from the Muslim. And Seed, his structures are going to be well protected from the drop play, so he won't have too much to lose right off. He'll be able to focus the majority of his attention on the actual battle, because the drop isn't going to, pose any immediate threat, and then he'll be able to deal with it. But, we'll see if he's got units in position to entirely deny it. It's all going to come down to where his army's at. And let's take a look, actually, at his army. What is Seed sitting on right now as the Muslim is gearing up for this?
Well, for the time being, it's just the 4 Zealots, 1 Stalker, 3 Sentries. But now is the moment as a Protoss player, you kind of go from, it's almost Zerg-like in its approach, where it's infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. Oh crap, things are starting to hit. Yeah. All the units in the world just go right out all at once. So he's dropping down his relevant Zealots. He's got +1 armor already up. He's even got his extended thermal lance on the way, and Twilight Council going to finish up so he can go into +2 armor if he so desires. Only on 5 gates though, so it's going to limit the amount of aggression that he can actually put on. But he did do kind of an interesting thing, and he's really ahead of his pylons. He's almost too far ahead, and that tells me he wants to be able to just have the flexibility to go units for a while and never have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Seed, he's going to be dealing with likely a little bit of a drop here, and this attack is definitely going to come in from the front without a doubt. This is a huge timing out to Muslim. Seed does not have extended thermal lances yet. The longer the Muslim waits, so the closer this is going to get. I believe the Colossus count is now at 2?
I think so, yes. And the third's on the way.
Lots of splash damage here for Seed. Looks like the Muslim's just going to turn around, which honestly is not a bad decision.
And is he going into... Okay, there's a second starport coming up, so he can start putting up some Vikings. But, he's got his 3rd base almost done. And even though his army is a little bit... I don't know. I mean, quality of units, those 2 armies are pretty close, honestly, with the upgrades, especially that they have on the way. Seed, though, he's not... Even though he's got the Templar Archives coming up, and I would expect to see a 3rd base here momentarily, not quite doing what we see out of some Protoss players, where they'll make 1, maybe 2 Colossus, but they won't get any range. Then they'll just immediately switch into Charge Lot Archon afterwards just to throw their opponent off who's overcommitted to Vikings.
Yeah, which is definitely a possibility, as we're seeing 3 Vikings at a time being churned out right now by the Muslim. He's also working on +1 armor, and Storm, a quick switch to Storm. In fact, not even going to just be that Archon play coming out of Seed right now. So to Muslim, I mean, he's sitting on 3 bases, which is really, really nice. Seed just dropped his 3rd. But we've seen that Seed isn't really ever a player who seems to be concerned with having those quick 3rd bases. Against Stefano last game, Kevin, he took a 13.5 minute 3rd base, now taking one at 12.5. I'd say he's still in a pretty comfortable spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's within his comfort zone. He likes the flexibility of, I detect weakness, I can put on pressure, or if you're going to come at me with something, I have plenty of forces to deal with this. 4 Vikings out, 3 still being built at a time, and eventually, yes, there are 3 Colossi that are out there, but it is going to become overkill here in just a bit. And all the available gas, especially with gas 5 and 6 coming online now, he will be able to easily move into Charge Lot Archon. We already see how many Zealots he has out on the field, and that number is just going to rocket up.
Yeah, especially with the armor upgrades that we're seeing. Armor's so effective, guys, on those Zealots. The survivability allows them to charge multiple times, so you really get a benefit out of that. But here comes the engagement, trying to move up with these units, but not going to be able to do it, is the Muslim. He's going to be pinned down on the bottom. Okay, he just picked off a Stalker.
Yeah, that's all.
Not a, you know, nothing not be happy about.
Looks like those Templar do have a decent amount of energy, enough for a few storms at the very least. But look at this, Seed actually going around the side, picking off a couple, cleaving his way with those armor upgrades through a couple of Marauders, and dishing out a bit of economic damage too. A Mule actually dying. I don't know if any workers have fallen. One's gone down in this game, but I don't know if it was a scout or not. So Muslim is actually pulled back out of position, despite the fact he has a very large army. The substance of it is a bit lacking. It's pretty squishy. I mean, there's a lot of Marines. There's a lot of AoE that's out for Seed at the moment, and I'd love to see, as we see Ghosts are on the way, but I'd love to see those Ghosts and you know, a number more Marauders added into the mix too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's going to be so invested into Vikings. I hope we don't see another round of them. He really just needs to switch into Ghost. But Muslim does have 2 command centers on the way, which is going to be really nice. You know, able to grab a 4th and a 5th essentially simultaneously here. But his Viking count is very high for what he's looking at in terms of Colossi.
And Muslim actually ducks in and he manages to get in with a stim pack of Marines. Now, of course, there was an observer sitting overhead, so Seed knew to start pulling his forces back, and he's not going to take all that much damage. A few workers going down is really annoying, but those squishy Marines are dying so quickly.
Would have loved to see Muslim do a drop or a flank attack at the 3rd during all that. He kind of was just attacking the back rocks while he pulled all of Seed's army out of position, so really missed an opportunity to capitalize on that. Both players at 175 supply right now, and it looks like the Ghosts are starting to hit the field for Muslim.
Oh, let's see here. I apologize. We did miss the first storm drop, I think. Yeah, looks like they actually killed a lot of workers there. Nice job to pick off the Warp Prism to make sure that these aren't going to do too much else, as the Vikings are actually significantly weakened. But Seed did get up there and he killed a good number of workers,
leaving the current count at 61 to 66, so Muslim economically should be about in the same boat when you factor in mules. Both players relatively equal here, but I do want to say Seed, you know, he's working on +3 armor right now with +2 attack. I'm actually surprised he's a little behind on the upgrades.
Looks like there's a Marine chasing down a Colossus. That's an awfully brave Marine. Bravery level, so. But yeah, I mean, you're right.
Brave.
Muslim is sitting on those 1-2 upgrades at the moment. Seed just sitting on 2-1 at the moment. So they're going to be about a wash to Muslim, a bit ahead, as you said, which is surprising given the earlier Forges. But, you know, the quality of Seed's army is quite good now. He's got a lot of Colossi, he's got a lot of AoE, he's got a lot of Stalkers to help support this. This may get him in trouble, though, attacking into a planetary fortress. He may be able to kill it, but he could sacrifice a lot of forces on the way out. Storm hits those Vikings and be pretty devastating, and it does. A lot of damage dished out there, and those Vikings starting to break up in mid-air, but they are picking away the Colossi very quickly.
Yeah, they are, but the Vikings are almost dead, and there are still 2 Colossi on the field. The Vikings, so they're, okay, 4 more fresh Vikings coming in, but wow, that one storm did so much damage to the bio army of the Muslim Medevacs, now trying to repair the damage which that did cause. And Seed at this point, 180 supply, sitting perfectly fine. He's got a nice bank too, 1,000 minerals compared to just 100 for Muslim, so he's got to be pretty happy about that.
Well, you mentioned though, Muslim's kind of the comeback kid.
Yeah,
and he's always
really
kind of found this way to make his way back into a game after losing a little bit of an advantage. And first is going to make his way out. Seed's going to make his way out. Sorry, that's the count he's playing on. Seed's going to make his way out with this this War Prism Arrest at the same time that he has this big round of forces running up and around the side.
This is going to be a good timing for Muslim to actually do an attack. This is so beautiful for Seed to be pulling all of Muslim's forces home. Take a look. +3 just finished up for Muslim. He's got +3 weapons right now. +3 armor is not completed for Seed. That's his +3 upgrade. So, I mean, Muslim has an upgrade advantage, but only for another 15 seconds or so. And guess what? Seed had Muslim running around in his own base trying to clean up a High Templar here, 2 Zealots over here. He's, you know, doing a great job. And there you go. +3 just finished. Now the upgrades are back equal again, and Seed is in a great spot.
Yes, he is. And pressing ahead with those shields upgrades, too. So, going to find a way maybe to eke out an advantage here in a second. Seed, on the other hand, he's pushing up here through this planetary fortress once again. Those storm drops have proven to be very effective. and he initially pushes in to engage here. It looks like he's going to lose a Colossus for his troubles, and forces actually 4 full force fields out of Seed to make sure that he's not going to push in, and Demuslim's not going to be able to take advantage of those forces being out of position.
Yeah, that was really close out of Seed. Managing to trap that army, though, definitely saved him a lot of hurt. Meanwhile, Dark Templar will be on the field in the near future as a Dark Shrine is inbound. So we may see some harassment options opened up as Zealots. I mean, he's been getting all the work undone he needs with Zealots. Can we take a look at the worker kill tab? I mean, it's been pretty devastating. 27 workers killed throughout this game, but it looks like the Muslim's going to try to get some units killed. Storm going down, though. 4 Seed going to force these Vikings back, at least for the moment.
Yeah, but he doesn't catch a whole lot of units, but the nice part is that he's doing more damage up here around the top as these Templar accumulate energy, the Stalker's picking off more units, and Demuslim has just not had any forces in position to jump back and take and protect his units at all, and now he's kind of in full retreat. He doesn't know if he wants to move through the front, but look at this defensive setup. Photon cannons to help hold off for a while, and millions of storms just to be able to trap that unit. All the while, this War Prism is just everywhere at once.
Seed is playing so incredibly well right now. Here come the Vikings, going to try to focus on the Colossi. Seed going to pull back for just a moment as the Zealots are continuing to harass here at the natural expansion. We're going to take a look back at the battle as we see that the units are moving into a very committed position for Demuslim. There is no backing out at this point. He is in for the kill as Storm's going down on a lot of the units towards the top half. Demuslim's army is completely split up right now, Kevin. Half his army is engaging against Seed. The other half's busy killing a Nexus. That is not what you can afford to be doing right now. He does kill the Nexus, but some DTs are going to clean up a lot of these. Oh, this is so bad for Demuslim. He is losing absolutely everything.
DTs are just such high DPS. They can cleave their way through these units, even with the regenerative powers of the Medifex. It's not going to be enough. Demuslim GG's, and those backstab attacks just paying dividends, and Seed takes his 3rd game in a row. He has put IM just 1 game away from joining StarTale and the finals of the IPTL.
Seed is playing, I mean, so incredibly well right now. His ability to harass there, not only, doing a lot of economic damage, but in some situations, maybe saving him. It looked like Demuslim was gearing up for a really strong attack when his +3 finished, and then all of a sudden he had to go run home to deal with Zealots again.
Yeah, that's never fun. And the worst part is that you know that when you're forced to do that, you know you're losing somewhere. Like if you pull back, then you've sacrificed your position up in the front, or you can't put on any pressure, you can't do any economic damage. If you don't pull back, though, everything's going to die back at home. So it's such a frustrating position to put someone in, and Demuslim unfortunately did succumb to it.
He definitely did play a great game, though. Was in a beautiful position until harassment really tore him apart. I would actually say that series reminded me somewhat of the Lenok Life series, where, Demuslim looked to be in a pretty good position until, well, he just couldn't deal with the harassment. Well, coming up next, and the final player for Evil Geniuses, is Thorzane. And if you remember, back in Team Arena Challenge 1, way back when, Thorzane was with Mouse at the time. Mouse actually made it into the finals above a lot of Korean teams, and in the very first set, Thorzane actually all-killed Quantic IM. So this guy has success against IM in the past, but can he get 4 kills in a row? We're going to run to a commercial break, and when we get back, guys, it'll be game number 6, do or die time for Evil Geniuses.